A lone child wanders through the desert, chewing on a human finger. He searches for his mother. A few miles away, a car stops abruptly in the middle of the desert. A man gets out and walks. His name is Wyndham, a photographer here to capture a solar eclipse. After taking pictures, he tries to return to his car but finds a lost and scared boy. Wyndham wants to help, but the boy doesn't want help. The boy points towards where he lost his parents and leaves. Wyndham follows the boy to help him find his way home, but the boy is rude and goes away. Now alone in the dark, Wyndham has no way to go back. Wyndham lies down to sleep but can't. He thinks about what happened. Then, he hears strange sounds. He follows the sounds and finds sticks with ropes and bottles hanging from them. The bottles make a pretty sound. There is a big canyon with a wooden house at the bottom. A woman walks around the house and sings. Wyndham asks for help, but she goes inside. He sees an iron ladder and starts to climb down. The ladder stops halfway, and there is a rope ladder after that. Wyndham climbs down both ladders and reaches the house. He knocks loudly, but nobody answers. He opens the door and goes inside. A woman is cooking. She acts like she expected him. She offers him food, but he doesn't want it. She gives him soup anyway. Wyndham is really thankful for the woman's kindness, but keeps asking how to get out of this weird place. He tells her about a lost kid he saw and asks for water. The woman, named Alina, says to rest till morning. Wyndham is happy to stay. He looks at the bed and thinks she is pretty. Next day, he packs his things and goes outside. But the rope ladder he used to come down is gone. He can't climb up without it. Wyndham goes back inside and takes pictures of the place and strange drawings on the walls. Everything looks dark and scary, like death. He sees Alina fixing the roof and asks about the missing ladder. She acts like she doesn't know or doesn't care. She says there are other people here but won't tell him anything. Wyndham is sad and walks around, calling for help, but no one comes. Later, Alina asks him to take off his clothes so she can wash them. He has to do it. That night, he can't sleep again and looks for a way out but fails. In the morning, he finds a hammer and tries to climb the wall. Something falls on him, and he falls down. He wakes up hurt and in pain. Alina helps him but won't talk about the kids he saw. For many days, he is sick and doesn't know if it's day or night. He thinks he sees kids. Finally, he feels better. He walks outside and tells Alina to ask the kids to help him climb up. She pretends not to understand. She wants him to stay and says she will take care of him. Wyndham doesn't want to stay. He wants to go home. He is angry and tells her to go away. He looks at his hurt leg and knows it will take a long time to heal. Suddenly, he hears people talking. He sees a boy and a girl. They ask if they can help. Wyndham tells them he wants to go up. The boy says he will bring ropes to help him climb. But first, he asks a weird question about Wyndham's favorite color. Wyndham says red and tells them to hurry. The kids leave. Wyndham takes out his money and decides to leave his other things. Then, a rope comes down. The boy tells him to tie himself up strong. Wyndham does what he says. They start pulling Wyndham up, and he begins to feel hopeful about his rescue. But halfway up, the rope stops. Wyndham screams and tries to climb the rope himself, but he doesn't have the strength. He ends up hanging helplessly under the scorching sun. He wakes up to the sensation of water, only to see the boy spraying him with a hose, mocking him. More children appear on the cliff, ranging from little kids to older teens. They're dressed in clothes that obviously belong to other people and behave inappropriately, taunting Wyndham. They start swinging the rope, making him crash into the canyon walls. Desperately, Wyndham calls out for Alina. He sees her yelling angrily at the kids before losing consciousness after another hit against the wall. That night, he wakes up in bed and immediately tries to get up. Alina doesn't know where he's trying to go, but Wyndham is determined to escape. Alina explains that the children are homeless, gathered in the desert, surviving as best they can. Neither of them notices that while they talk, the children stand on the cliff, watching the house's windows burn. The next day, Wyndham watches Alina release a bird and envies its freedom to fly. She brings him a spare set of clothes from somewhere, and although he didn't ask for them, he appreciates her care. Time passes. One day, Wyndham plants a small garden at the bottom of the canyon. Occasionally, the children bring them food and drinks, which surprises Wyndham since there are no stores around. He doesn't understand their behavior. First, they feed him, then they mock him. But Alina seems to accept it all as normal. Wyndham starts getting more involved in the household, marveling at Alina's calm demeanor. One night, he tries to ask her questions, but cries from the yard interrupt them. Alina advises Wyndham not to go outside when the children behave like that, But he rushes out into the night and sees the boys dressed in strange clothes gathered around the house. They start taunting him, pushing and beating him, but suddenly vanish into the night. Wyndham demands answers from Alina. Who are these children? Why do they live here? And why does she stay in this terrible place? But Alina remains calm, not admitting that she is a prisoner. That evening, she comes to Wyndham. The man, starved for female attention, eagerly welcomes her. Time passes, and the first sprouts appear in Wyndham's garden. One day, the boy in the cap calls to him from above. He is friendly and promises to bring some soda. Wyndham returns to his plants and unexpectedly finds a wedding ring and car keys buried in the sand. That evening, Alina shows him a portrait of a woman, calling her the first mother. She confesses that she is expecting his child. Stunned, Wyndham can't believe his ears. He never wanted to have children here, especially with a woman he barely knows. He yells at Alina, but he has no choice but to accept it. The next morning, he finds his garden destroyed by local birds, but Alina willingly helps him replant, which earns his gratitude. Gradually, life in the house falls into some semblance of order. Alina runs the household, and Wyndham exercises, working on his leg. The boy in the cap visits again. He's a real curious being, always asking Wyndham a million questions. Wyndham asks him to help Alina because she's expecting a baby and needs a doctor. The man tells the boy to grab some rope and a heavy thing for balance. He plans to climb out and take them to the city to look after the woman and kid. The boy promises to do it all when everyone's snoozing her out, but then one of the older kids snatches him away. Later, Wyndham tells Alina the boy wants to learn stuff. He's smart, different, and wants a cooler life. The man wants to help him and her too, but Alina acts weird. She's trying to figure out what's missing in Wyndham's story. When he mentions freedom, Alina's like, huh, because nobody stops anyone from doing anything here. Isn't that freedom? Then the man talks about the outside world, remembering the ocean and a cheeseburger. Alina's clueless, so Wyndham explains it's a meat sandwich with special bread. The woman says her mom used to talk about magic places outside, but here, everything's real. Wyndham shows her pictures he took when he arrived, but she's more interested in a random photo of a car with music playing. At night, he has scary dreams about the kids making fun of someone. In the morning, he hears Alina screaming and finds the boy in the cap hanging over the canyon. The crazy people are laughing on the cliff. Alina suddenly says brothers wouldn't do that and accuses Wyndham of killing her son, hitting him with a board. When he wakes up, he's in a cage. He begs and pleads, but Alina won't let him go. She feeds him like an animal, and her kids watch him suffer. One day, he sees a girl on the cliff who doesn't belong. He tries to get her attention, but he's scared to wake Alina. He whispers for help, and she promises to return. Wyndham hides and watches the heavily pregnant Alina as she does her chores. Suddenly, he hears screams and sees the savages catching the girl. They drag her to the cliff and kill her in front of him. Time passes, and Wyndham remains in the cage. He is forced to witness unnatural rituals performed by Alina, her children, and her brothers. One day, he tells Alina that he wants to stay forever, raise his child, and love Alina, who will be his queen. He says he will teach the child everything he knows and give himself completely, and that this is his choice. But when he says choice, Alina laughs. He never had a choice. He is just a seed blown here by the wind, and the child is only hers. The man will stay in the cage until the baby is born. After that, nothing in the desert goes to waste. Finally, the day of birth arrives. Alina screams in the house as Wyndham paces in the cage. Alina reaches him, begging for help as she has never had such a difficult birth before. She releases him from the cage, and he does his best to ease her pain. The children stand on the cliff, watching. Suddenly, Wyndham sees a ladder descending from above, but Alina cries out, and he stays by her side. The child is born at the moment of the solar eclipse. Wyndham takes the baby girl in his arms and kisses her, overjoyed to be a father. Alina begs him to give the baby to her, promising to feed and protect her until she becomes the new mother. Then she will fulfill her purpose just as Wyndham has fulfilled his. At that moment, the boy sneaks up and slits Wyndham's throat, assuring him that he is doing it for the mother. Later, Alina gathers Wyndham's belongings and packs them in a chest, then goes to the baby, promising her that everything will be fine. Meanwhile, Wyndham's body decomposes in the yard of the house, sprouting grass and turning to dust. This is where this unusual film ends.